Hi, Mati. Okay. Okay.
Yes, you're using a phone or a computer?
I'm using a computer.
I'm just wondering on the phone if there's any way to put more than 4 people on.
Yeah, you could. I used my phone the first day and I was able to get everybody on.
And you were able to see everybody at the same time?
Yeah, you have to push a button. I don't know which button you push, but there's one button that allows everyone to be there. I also changed it. I don't have to let you into the room. You come in automatically anymore. But by the way, everything I'm saying now is all pre-recorded. I'm actually still sleeping. Are you there, or is that pre-recorded?
I can hear it.
Let me see if I close this thing. Is the lighting better or worse? I don't know if it helps.
Oh, Shmuel is here.
Good morning, Shmuel. People connecting. I don't know. I don't have everybody on. Like faces pop up.
Good morning, Yosy.
Morning, Shmuel. How you doing? Can you see us?
I see you. Yeah.
Okay.
How come I don't see you, Shmuel?
Hang on, I have to turn my video. I'm not so technologically advanced.
I thought you still in your job.
Yeah, Mati, I heard that Shlomo's Mechutton's his father passed away.
Yeah, Willie.
From Corona?
Yep.
In England.
London.
Over Shabbos, and his Mechutton himself, his son, is in critical condition.
Oh, yeah. My uncle's not doing too well.
Which one?
My uncle Yanko. He's on a respirator.
Oh, yeah.
He was doing well over Shabbos, and then last night again he had to turn for the worse.
Okay, you see me now? I think I put up a video. See me? Okay.
You look like you lost 40 pounds.
Yeah, right. Not yet.
At this rate, I think we're all going to come out of this 40 pounds heavier.
I'll tell you.
I'm sitting home all day.
I don't want to throw away. Like my minhag is usually to sell is to get rid of chametz, and Rob always tells me like that's part of being Mavar chametz. But this year I'm nervous to throw away my chametz because who knows what the road lies ahead.
Yeah.
Well, the truth of the matter is I already have storage. Never mind in my cabinet. I have storage in my shirt.
Yeah. I told my wife your line about painting the garage door. Yosy, she liked it.
Oh, you're fine.
Anyway, the bitter gelachter.
You better tell Moshe Rubner.
What?
I have to tell Moshe Rubner that I'm not going to be available at 8:45.
Well, you're supposed to get there.
I usually learn with him afterwards, because that's Avram shiur.
Where's Rajbad? Where's Avram?
I'm not sure. Okay, should we start?
Why not?
Oh, Mechi's here. It's showing here that we have 6 people.
Victor.
Victor's here?
Yeah.
How do I get everybody onto the screen? I only have 4 on my phone.
That's the most you can do. You swipe left and right, and you can, as the people talk, then they will automatically pop up.
No, there's a
Oh,
grid
that's
on
what's
top.
causing it. I see different people.
No, on the top bar, there's a grid. You click on, you see where all those dots are? On top of all the people? You just have like.
I think it depends. It depends if you're using an iPhone, if you're using an Android.
Oh, okay. You're on a phone. Okay.
I'm on
I'm on an iPhone. Oh,
I'm showing 6 people. I got everybody here in the grid. Duvi, you don't mind if I tell you that your camera picks up from it stops right below your nose.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Oh,
Better?
much better.
I thought he was wearing a mask. It was like quarantine.
Or he was wearing pajamas.
There you go. Now then I'd be off camera completely. That's the
Still davening, guys.
You look like Reb Scheinberg.
Okay.
Can I ask a question before we start?
Please.
Just, I guess maybe it's my ignorance, but as I was trying to lane yesterday from my chumash, are we supposed to say Hashem's name?
When you're laning?
Sorry?
When you're
It's
laning?
Well, like whatever. The Rav said
when
to be
you're reading.
Maver Sedra, or you know, I'd be
No.
read
I
the
did.
Sedra at home, but I just wasn't sure if I should say Hashem's name or not.
Why not?
You're supposed to. You're supposed to, aren't you?
I thought you're supposed to.
Yeah.
I think so
You're just reading
too.
Psukim and Chumash. Whenever you read Psukim and Chumash, you're allowed to say Hashem's name.
Really? Just Stam?
Yeah. If you're reading complete Psukim, you always say Hashem's name.
I didn't know that. I
Whenever
thought only
you say
only when you're Maver Sedra.
Whenever you say a complete pasuk, you're allowed to say Hashem's name.
Okay. Baruch atah Hashem shakal yavurei.
Amen. Just like that.
Okay.
Okay, Shlomo is here. So Shosef is here. Okay, I think we should start. So let's go back to the beginning of Klei's Chukah so that we don't start in the middle of something. So we'll go back to Tesvav Amud Beis, 10 lines from the bottom, Klei's Chukah, my timer, Gozer Behur Abad Tuma. So one of the Xeris was that glass will have halachas of Tumah. The Torah doesn't specifically discuss glass. The Torah specifically discusses metal kalim, and it specifically discusses cheres kalim, ticheres, but it doesn't discuss glass. Again, we said that the characteristics of metal kalim are that they become tameh by touching tumah. A. B is even if they don't have a base kibble, even if they're flat pieces of metal, are makabel tumah. And you could, if the metal kalim does become tameh, you can actually toivel it and it'll become tar. Ticheres, on the other hand, does not become tameh when something touches it. Rather, it only becomes tameh or transmits tumah through its airspace, and it cannot be kashered or toiveled in the mikveh. It has to be broken. That's how you get rid of its tumah. And pshute kli cheres, meaning if you just have a flat piece of cheres that doesn't have a clay kibble, doesn't have a receptacle, that would not be makabel tumah. So we have two different types of tumas, and the Gemara is going to probe what will the characteristics of the tumah of the Klei's Chukos of a glass be. Zok the Gemara, Klei's Chukos, my time agozer b'hu rabbanan tumah. Why did the rabbanan say that it has to be tumah? Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Amar Rish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of Rish Lakish, Hoyel utchilas briyasa min achoyel. Since it's originally created from sand, that's what its raw material is. Therefore, shavinu rabbanon kechli cheres. The rabbanon consider it like a kli cheres. Correct the Gemara. Elamayata loy sehei lahen tahayir b'mikveh. If it's like a kli cheres, well, one of the characteristics we said about a kli cheres is that it can't be toiveled. When it becomes tamei, all you can do is break it. Allah matnan. Why does the Brisa seem to say that you could toivel glass? Where does the Brisa say that? Because the Brisa talks about the chatzitza. Chatzitza only applies to something that you're toiveling. The elu choytitzin b'kelim. The following items will be a chatzitza by kelim. Hazefes is tar. The hamor is some other sticky substance. B'chleis chukas. So on glass, a regular piece of dirt wouldn't be a chatzitza because it rinses right off. Glass is quite smooth. But something really sticky that adheres to the glass, that would be a chatzitza. Now, if the Brisa is talking about chatzitza, clearly glass is something that you would toivel. Yet, if you want to say it's like a kli cheres, how could you toivel it? What are we talking about? The Brisa that says you could toivel glass is speaking about going shenikli the hit of losoichan aver. It's speaking where the glass had a hole in it, and once it has a hole in it, it loses its ability to contain liquid, so it becomes ois kli cheres. The characteristics that it needs to have to be matayer as a kli cheres is that it breaks. This hole is as if it's broken, because now it cannot complete its function anymore, so it loses its kli cheres. Now you've plugged the hole with agar, with lead, which is a metallic. So now we treat this keli like it's a metal keli, even though there's a tiny little patch of metal and the most of the keli is glass. Since it's that metal that makes the keli, so to speak, it's treated like a metal keli, and in fact, tefillah will work. Rab Meir, and this is consistent with the sheet of Rab Meir, when you assess what a keli is made out of, what you do is you look at what's really keeping this keli together. And if it's the aver that's keeping this keli as a status as a keli, that maintains the status of the keli, then it's considered a metal keli, and that's why it could be toivel. The tani plays chucha should nikfu the hit of neva. If you had a glass keli that had a hole in it and you dripped some lead into it, Omer Reb Shimon ben Gamliel said that Reb Meir metame. So Reb Meir holds it tame because it now has a status of a metal keli, and it's according to Reb Meir that we'll understand this brisa why it could have a chatzitza and why it's roya for tefillah. The Chum hold that it's tahar. And there's a shayla what that means tahar. If it means it's tahar in ganzen, which is pashat pshat, because it's considered a broken keli. Toshus brings down a shita that it might just be tahar al glass, but not al metal. But I'll call upon them. We want to say that Brisa goes according to Reb Meir, who holds that now this glass that's completed with the aver has the status of a metal keli. Elamayata zaktimar. If that's the case, that like a metal keli now, loy litmu. I'm sorry, elamayata. We're saying it's a klicheres. That is, we're still saying that it's a klicheres. Loy litmu migabon. We know that one of the characteristics of a klicheres is that it only becomes tamei from its airspace. It could only transmit tamei from its airspace. But if something touches the outside of the keli of the klicheres, it does not make it tamei. Alomatnan. Why is it that we learned in the brisa that says klicheres or klineser, klicheres and klineser, and there's a whole big shaila what klineser is. So the Ark Scroll brings different rishonim that discuss what it might be. It could be. It ends up being the four different things that it might be. It might be alum. It might be some other chemicals. I don't even know all the different chemicals that they are. He has four different chemicals that it could be. Either way, it's some type of white clayish type of material. Because it's either natrin or alum or tafel. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of different things that it might be. Anyway, klicheres uchlineser tum osan shavam. Their tum is similar. Mitamin, they become tamin. They receive tumah. Umitamin, and they transmit tumah. Me'avireyan, through their airspace. Umitamin, and they can become tamei me'achireyan, through their backside. What does it mean backside? If you have a becher, let's say with a stand, if you turn over the becher, there's a clay kibble in the stand because the stand is also hollow. So that's also considered the airspace that would be mitamin keli through. So umitamin me'avireyan, umitamin me'achireyan, they can also accept tumah from the cavity that they have underneath them. And the Rishonim tell us they can also transmit tumah through that same cavity. The ein mitamin migavein, but they will never become tamei if something touches their outside. Ushvirosan mitayrosan, and another characteristic is that if it breaks, then it's tar. Now the Brisa is
sorry, Yosy. Yeah, I don't know if Aki was here, but I just want to remind everybody if they can put themselves on mute so we don't hear the background noise, and then unmute themselves if they want to ask a question. Because there's a lot of background noise. There should be a microphone on the far left.
Here, let me see if I can mute everybody.
If you can't.
What?
If you're calling in from your phone, just put your phone on mute, the regular way.
Yeah.
You would put your phone on mute. Yeah. That'll...
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so but once in a while, unmute yourself so I don't feel like I'm talking to the wall. Okay, so let's see what we have over here. So the Brisa says, the Brisa is very specific with the list of kalim that have this characteristics, or these characteristics. And those are klicheres only and klineser only. But anything else, such as glass, which is what we're discussing, doesn't have those characteristics. So you see clearly that the glass does not have the halachas of a klicheres. So you were telling me the reason why they were metama glass is because it's made of sand just like a klicheres, yet it doesn't have any of the halachas of a klicheres. Zok Gemara Amri, let's say, if these kalim, if glass breaks, unlike cheres, if it breaks, it's done, it's over. There's no way to fix cheres. But glass, if it breaks, you can actually remold it again.
Yeah.
If it breaks, you can melt it down and start it again.
Just tuning into Yosy's shiur.
That's why treated like metal.
Danny Kahans? Yeah, I'll WhatsApp it to you.
Since Klicheres,
Okay, hang on 1 second.
it could never be fixed, but glass could be fixed. And since glass could be fixed by melting it down and starting over again, that's very similar to the characteristics of metal. And that's why we say that the way glass becomes tamei is migabein, similar to the way metal becomes tamei, and not like a klicheres. So now it's very interesting. We said klicheres is tamei because it's made out of sand, yet its characteristics of how it becomes tamei are not similar to klicheres. Rather, the characteristics of tumah that it has is similar to that of a metal keli. It becomes tamei if something touches it, even from the outside, and it could be melted down. If we're now comparing the tumah to the tumah of metal, so there's another rule we have, that if you have a metal keli and it breaks, and then it becomes ois keli, if you have a metal keli and it breaks and you melt it down, if you make a new keli of it, the halacha is it retains its original tumah. So imagine you had a metal keli, it touched the sherets. So now when you melt it down and you make a new keli, that new keli is tamei. It goes back to its original tumah.
I know.
Glass could be the same thing.
Difference. I know. Okay, go ahead.
Akiva, can you put yourself on mute?
Thank you, Yosy.
Okay. So glass as well, if you melt it down because it broke and you put it together again, it should go back to its original tumah. Ditnan, kli mapkos, metal kalim, pishu teyen. If they're flat and they don't have a base kibble, or umekablein, or if they have a base kibble, tamein. They're both tamei. They both have the halachas of tumah by metal kalim. Nishburu, if the metal keli became tamei and then it broke, then tiaru. Once the keli is broken, it's now tar. But chazer v'asumehen kalim, if you melted them down and made kalim with them, chazer l'tumyason yishana, the tumah comes back. The original tumah comes back. That's the halacha by metal. But by glass, we find that's not the halacha, because it says kol kli eitz, kli ar, kli etzem, kli zchuchas. So wooden kalim, hide kalim, wooden bone kalim, and what's most important to us is kli zchuchas, glass. Pishuteim taharin, if they're flat, they're tahar. Again, unlike metal, mekablein tmein. But the most important line is nishburu taharu. If they broke, they're tar. Chazer v'asim and kalim. If you rebuilt kalim with them, if you remold kalim with the broken pieces, mekabim tuma mikanu lehaba. They're only mekabel tuma moving forward. Mikanu lehaba in lemafrei aloi. So if we want to say that klitzchuches should have the hilchos tuma of a metal keli, why is it that if you reform a keli from the broken pieces of glass, why is it that they don't go back to the original tumah? It only remains as a new glass keli with no tumah in it. Zok Gemara, tumas klitzchuches derabanan. The whole idea that a glass keli can even become tamei is at the Kana derabanan. It's one of the 18 takanas that we're talking about. V'tumah yishana, and this whole halacha by metal kelim, that if you break a keli that's tamei, and then you reform it, that it goes back to its original tumah, that's also derabanan. And therefore, b'tumah daraisa, by a metal keli, which is makabel tumah midaraisa, achisu barabanan tumah. There, the Rabbanan said that since the original tumah is a tumah daraisa, if you melt down the keli and you rebuild a keli out of it, we will midrabanan be geyser tumah on the new keli as well. And the Gemara is going to explain why they would do that. But tumah derabanan, by a glass, which even its original tumah was only a tumah midrabanan, well, yachisu larabanan tumah. The Rabbanan won't put tumah on it if you broke it and then you reformed it. The Rabbanan won't put tumah on there.
The bottom line, kli zchuchas is like cheres in certain ways and like metal in certain ways and like none of them in other ways.
Well, right now, I don't know. With this Mahalach of the Gemara, it seems to be only like metal. It doesn't seem to have any characteristics of cheres at all, because it's tumah migaboy. It's not mitama me'aviroi. So that's like metal.
So why did we think initially it was like cheres?
Because the reason why the Rabbanan said that glass is tamei is because it's made out of sand.
Uh-huh.
Yet it has no similarities. It has no similarities to metal kalim, which is very interesting.
To cheres kalim, you mean?
That's right. Its tumah properties are all similar to metal, not to cheres, even though the only reason why we were gosher tumah on it is because it's made out of sand.
And the only reason why it wasn't like metal was because when it breaks and reforms, it doesn't become tummy. And that we just explained why it doesn't happen.
Exactly. So exactly like Mother said, so when it breaks and we reform it, it doesn't become tummy because the Rabbanim weren't gosher of the Rabbanim Dikatuma on the Rabbanim Dikatuma of glass. And that's why when it does become tummy, it becomes tummy from something touching it on the outside. It's not tummy me'avirei. Now that's only one shot in the Gemara. On Amud Beis, we're going to have another shot. Frank the Gemara. What about pshutein? Pshutein mi'alatami. We also said another difference between metal kalim and glass is metal kalim, even if it doesn't have a base kibble, even if it's a flat piece of metal, it's going to become tamei. It has the status of a kalim, become tamei. But glass, we said, only will become tamei if it has a base kibble. That's the last bryce we learned, right? Kli eitz, kli or, kli etzem, kli zechuchis, pshutein tahirin. Unlike a metal keli. Now, if we're treating glass like a metal keli in its properties of tamei, why do we not say that even a flat piece of glass should be tamei? The pshute klimatros deiraisa. Pshute klimatros is tamei midiraisa. So why don't we say that pshute kli zechuchis, flat pieces of glass, should be tamei midrabanan? Zok the Gemara that there's a special reason why the Rabbanan made it different than metal, made glass different than metal, because avdu b'hu Rabbanan hakera ki heichi de la lisrif alayu truma b'kachim. The Rabbanan B'davka wanted the tumah that we were gosher on glass to stick out, to be different, because we wanted it to be obvious to people that it's different. Why? Because since it's only tumah midrabanan, if it touches truma, that truma may not be eaten, but that truma should not be burnt either, because midaraisa, the truma and the kachim that touch it are really completely tar. It's only a tumah midrabanan, and therefore we don't want the truma or the kachim to be burnt because of this tumah. So therefore they made a distinction in the halacha of this tumah that it's not tumah by pshutayin, so that people will always know that this is a tumah midrabanan. That is the first shot. So the first shot we're saying that the main properties of tumah that glass has is similar to metal in that it's makabel tumah by touching, and the two distinctions between that and metal is shutayim are Torah by glass, and if you break down the glass and reform it, it does not go back to its original tumah. Now going back to our kasha was if a kli cheres, if glass is like a kli cheres, the first Gemara's kasha on top, if glass is like a kli cheres, why is it mitame migavein? Glass is tame from the back, from the outside, while a kli cheres, the Barashi said, is not mitame migavein. That was the Gemara's kasha at the top of Amud. So Rav Ashi is another teretz to that kasha, and his teretz will maintain that it does remain like a kli cheres. Rav Ashi Amar la'olam likli cheres dami. Really, it is like a kli cheres. Udika kasha loch loy litmi migabon. Our original kasha that we had on top of Amud Aleph was the glass should not be tamei if something touches it on the outside. Zok Rav Ashi a chiddush. Since when you look at the outside of a glass keli, it's transparent, so you see the inside. So therefore, the outside is just like the inside. So what Rav Ashi is saying is that really glass is metam, just like a klicheres, and it's metam me'avira, mitoichai. Its airspace is what creates tama. But when it's touched on the outside, we view it as if that item is on the inside. Why? Because glass is clear. So even something touching the glass on the outside, it's as if that thing is in the airspace of the keli, because you could see the airspace of the keli from the outside.
Sorry, Yosy, I fail to understand why seeing it makes any difference. I mean, I guess that's a shita, but I don't understand.
It's a very big chiddush. Let's see Rashi. I agree with your heart. I don't understand it either. But let's just see Rashi, the second Rashi on the line. since the inside of the keli can be seen from the outside, derech tafnoishav through its wall, lechoshev gav elatoich. It's not considered the outside, only the inside. I don't know.
Yeah.
Even in those days,
Circumcision.
even in those days, they also had glass that was not clear, colored glass and opaque glass.
That's also a very good point. But at least by clear glass, even by clear glass, Dubi has a good point. Even by clear glass, just because you could see the inside, so that the zip is in the airspace, it's a hard thing to understand.
Don't we have halacha, let's say if you have to wrap something in to throw it out, that we have to, you shouldn't use a clear plastic. We haven't seen. Sometimes you have to wrap something in kedusha. Something was used for kedusha. You're not supposed to wrap it in clear plastic because you could see it. So it would be a similar situation. If it's also, I don't know. I'm not thinking that the same idea might apply there.
It probably is a similar situation. So I don't have clarity as to how the fact that you could see something is as if you're inside. I don't know. I guess if you go peep into somebody's house, you can see through their window, you've compromised their privacy as if you're inside their house.
No throwing stones at glass houses, huh?
Okay, so before we go weiter, I want to speak on a very interesting thing. Glass, and this is not directly related to tumah, it's related to kasher. Can you kasher glass? Rabbi Elefant spoke on a very interesting thing. There's a machloikis between the mechaber and the Ramah. The mechaber holds that you could kasher glass. As a matter of fact, the mechaber holds that glass is not boileya. It's a very hard substance. It's not boileya, and even for Pesach, you could just rinse it out. You could just rinse out your chometz stick of glass, and you can use it for Pesach. The Ramah, on the other hand, holds that glass, not only can glass be boileya, it's like a kli cheres, that it can't be poilet, and glass cannot be kashered at all. There's that machloikis. There's a shaila that machloikis also applies to kashering from milchiks to fleishiks, because there are those who learn that there's a special chomer by Pesach. But I just want to tell you a little bit of story about this machloikis. The Ramah holds you may not kasher glass for Pesach, and the mechaber holds you don't even need to kasher glass for Pesach. You can just rinse it out. So there's a famous story. The Mezritcher Magid used to make a Pesach Seder for his Talmidim. And the rule was, all you had to bring with you was your own becher. He supplied the wine, he supplied the matzah, he supplied all the provisions, but you had to bring your own becher. And the story goes that the Balatanya, who was one of the Mezritcher Magid's Talmidim, was so poor, he couldn't afford a becher. So he brought a glass with him, the same glass that he used all year. He rinsed it out, just like the Mechaber says, and he was going to use that as his keli. So they're sitting down by the Seder, and the Mezritcher Magid stands up, about to start making Kiddush, and he looks at something, nobody knows what he's looking at, and then he sits back down. And then a couple of minutes later, once again, the Mezritcher Magid stands up, tries to make Kiddush, and then again it looks like he's looking at something, and he sits back down. It's happened 3 times. After the 3rd time, he said, the Ramah is here in the house, and he does not let me make Kiddush because somebody who's violating his psak. And the story goes that the Balatanya was so embarrassed, he got up and he ran so far away, he never came back. He was so embarrassed. Is Akiva here? I don't know if Akiva heard the story. That's the story they say over with the Balatanya, that he was so poor that he had to use that glass, and he was embarrassed because the Ramah came to protest it. Now we're up to the next sugya. Shimon ben Shetach tikin ksuba leisha. Shimon ben Shetach was masakin ksuba for a lady, and we already learned that what that means is he made it that everyone, all of a man's possessions, all of his assets, have a lien on them. They're encumbered towards a ksuba, not just one asset that's designated. And then the gazer tuma al klimatis. And then another gzer was they were gazer tuma on the klimatis. We didn't explain it when we learned it earlier. The Gemara said, Rashi said the Gemara will discuss it here. So the question is, why do I need a gzera to make metal kalim tamei? Klimatis daraisa. Metal kalim are tamei midaraisa. What type of Gzeira d'Rabbanan do I need? The Chsiv, it says in the pasuk, Ach es hazav v'es hakesef. So let's Ach es hazav, es hakesef, es hanachoshis, es habazel, es habadil, es hayafaris. So all of these metals are listed as items that are makabel tumah midiraisa. And for the Gemara, the reason why we needed the context was Nitzcha el Tumah Yeshana, which we just discussed in Amar Aleph. The Tumah Yeshana means metal keli had tumah, it broke, and then you melted it down and you fabricated a new keli out of it. The Rabbanim were goyzer that new keli retains the tumah of the old keli that it was built from, that it was recycled from. There was a story with Sia and Hamalka. She was marrying off her son, and someone died. V'nitmu kol keleha, and all of her kelim became tamei. And she has a wedding that she has to make tonight, and she doesn't have any vessels, she doesn't have any kelim to use by the chasana, and to wait 7 days to have the paraduma water spritzed on the kelim, that would mean she has to push off the wedding 7 days, and she didn't want to do that. So she figured, I have a way where I can bypass everything. Bishop Rasan, she broke all the kelim. By breaking them all, they lost their tumah. And then she gave it to a silversmith to fix and to reform these kelim. For Rizchon, the tzarif melted them down, and kelim chadashim, and made new kelim out of them. So she found the perfect way to bypass the whole concept of paraduma. The Chacham said, we can't allow this. These kelim that her tzarif made for them, that her smith made for her, are all going to have the same tumah as the kelim they came from had. My timer, we should gather mechatos naguba, because the Chazal didn't want people to bypass the whole idea of paraduma, and if people could just rebuild their kelim, then there would be no need for paraduma anymore, and it basically bypasses the whole idea of paraduma, the whole mitzvah of paraduma, and that's why they were gozer tumah.
Why only by klimatchis?
I'm sorry?
Why only by klimatchis?
Where else would you be able to break it and melt it and build it up again?
With glass, you put in a filler.
Oh, you want to know why they didn't make the same rule with glass?
Yeah.
So the Gemara on Amar Aleph told us the whole tumah of glass is only midrabanan. So they're not going to make a derabanan dikatuma on the derabanan dikatuma of glass.
I find it interesting that her idea was going to take less than 7 days to break all her kelim and to remake them.
You know, when you're a king, labor is cheap, so she can have teams of people working for her.
They would have just had to poke a hole in them, right? They don't have to smash. They don't have to smash it to pieces. She would have just had to poke a hole in each one.
That's right. I don't think she totally smashed it. She might have just
has to compromise each and every keli in a small way, and it's already kosher. Compromise.
You have to make a big enough of a hole that it's moitziriman. It has a big enough hole that a pomegranate would go through it.
Oh.
So going back to Mati's point, so look back to the other Gemara where there was a hole. It's in a glass vessel, and then we solidified it with metal, so it becomes a metal keli. So if that glass vessel became tumah and had that hole, and then we solidified it with metal, now it becomes a metal tumah. Does it still retain the tumah?
I don't think so, because the original keli that was tumah was a glass keli. Now it's a metal keli.
That's her eitzah. Make a hole, and then you can get around the same. Get around the getter the same way.
With a glass keli, yeah. If you started off with a glass keli, it would work. But she's starting off with silver keli.
Okay, but so that would work though for a glass keli if the glass keli was tumah.
Yeah, because the Gemara in Amar Aleph said that the glass doesn't have that rule. Now the question is, what happens if you have this glass keli that's filled with metal? So now it has a status of a metal keli. What if this now becomes tummy? Could you make a hole in it and fix it? Then you probably can't, because now it already has a status of a metal keli.
Right.
So when it became tummy as a glass keli, then yes, you could do the recycling because the xer was not made there. So the Gemara, if this whole xera that it becomes tummy again when you reform it, if you learn that only applies to something that became tummy from a mace, it makes sense. This is the reason, because you don't want to wait 7 days. However, let me just read it again. Then this reasoning makes sense. But according to the Mandamar, who holds that not only does the tumas mace come back if you reform a metal keli, but even if it touched the sherets and you didn't want to toivel it and wait for the night, and where it never would have needed spritzing anyway. So if you hold that even that tumah comes back, you can't say the reason for that is because it was protecting the mechatos, because the tumah sherets never need spritzing from the mechatos. So how would you explain that shita, that the tumah comes back even if it only touched the sherets? Omar Abaye, Zera Shema lo yikavenu b'chtei tarose. The reason why they were geyser that the tumah comes back when you rebuild it is because we're afraid that people are going to try to very minimally damage the keli so that it should be very easy to fix. And we're afraid you're not going to damage the keli enough to remove its status of a keli, and then the original tumah will never be removed. So in order to prevent people from doing it, they said it doesn't help at all. Rav Amar, it's a different gzeira. Gzeira shema yoimru tefila bas yoima oilala. Normally, when you toivel a keli, it's a tefil yoim. You cannot use it until the night. If people see that keli became tameh and they're used 2 hours later, they might not realize that it was rebuilt. They might think it's the same keli, and they'll think that you never have to wait till the nighttime. Once you go to the mikveh, once the keli is toiveled, it becomes toy right away, because they won't realize that these kelim were rebuilt. And that's why the Rabbanan made a gzeira that even breaking them doesn't help, the tumah will come back. My binayu, what's the difference between the two pshatim that we just discussed for regular tumah? Is it because we're afraid he won't damage it enough? Or is it because people will think that tefillah helps right away and you don't need to wait for the nighttime? If you didn't just break the keli, you actually completely flattened it into a flat piece of metal. So you completely undid the keli and started over again. So there's two pshatim in Rashi, but Rashi likes the second pshat of how to explain this nafkamina. So let's look at Rashi, and Rashi will tell us the nafkamina. So I'm going to look at Rashi's second pshat. Vikadami shema lo yikavenu ika. So if I flatten it down completely, then we still have to worry that a person might not break it enough. And since a person might not break it enough, even though in your case you flattened it out completely, we're still going to retain its tumah. But as far as the gezerah, that people will think that you don't have to wait until the night because they'll see you using that same keli later in the day, that's not a worry anymore. Because if you totally flatten the keli out and you're not just fixing the hole, then the new keli that you form will surely look different than the original keli that this metal came from, and people won't say, hey, it's the same keli and you're using it today. People will see, oh, that's a different keli. Oh, this is probably not the keli that became tummy. Okay, perfect. Zog to Gemara weiter. The idech mahi. So far, all of the gzeres that we've listed off worked out to 9 gzeres, and we know there's 18. So we're looking for the remainder of the 9, the remainder of the 18. So we're looking for 9 more takanas that Chazal made in that attic. So what is another example of a takana that was made? Titnan, hamaniach kelim tachas hatzina, l'kabel behen megisham. Now you have a pipe. When you build a mikveh, they create some type of piping framework where the water that comes down from the roof and runs into the bar, they build a piping network in such a way where it will not become mayim shuv. But what happens is at the bottom of that pipe that was halachically good, that would not cause a problem of mayim shuvim, what if you put a bucket underneath there? That bucket for sure is a keli that would render the water going into the mikveh shu'uvim and would passel the mikveh. So that nan hamaniach kelim tachas hatzinar lakabel bahen megisham. You put a pail at the bottom of that pipe that was coming from the roof that was going to fill the mikveh. Echad kelim gedolim. It doesn't matter if it was a big bucket. Echad kelim ketanim. If it was a small bucket. Rashi says the reason why you would think a small bucket would be different is because it's loy chashivi. It's not significant. Afilu klei avonim u'klei adom u'klei glolim. Even if it was stone kelim, earthen kelim, or glolim, pashup pshat and glolim means kelim made out of manure. Poislim is a mikveh, they would pass the mikveh. Interesting enough, if you look at Rashi translates the word glolim as shayish. Shayish means marble, and that's not what kli glolim means. So there are those who say that shayish, I don't know if anyone speaks German here, but there's a word in German that's called scheisse. Does anybody know what scheisse means in German? It's in English, the translation would be shit. That would be the English translation. So it's very possible Rashi is using a German word or a French word to also describe glolim, manure.
The Mechila, Rashi explains in some places where he gets this pshat of shayish, and Rashi says it's referring to the Lushan Kodesh word even gulol, which is apparently a synonym for shayish, the stone.
No, in a Hanami, but there's other people in Rashi. The art scroll brings down in Rashi that could be it's a German word that Rashi is referring to.
Interesting.
Yeah, because it's I think Rabbi Akiva Eiger tells it on it. Isn't there a Akiva Eiger on it? Yeah, Akiva Eiger tells to Rashi somewhere else. Yes, there's a little bit of a tumult about it. Shkoyach. But Poshup Shat Shais does mean marble, right? Or Yizok to Gemara Viter. That was just a little bit of an aside. If you put that pail there at the bottom of the pipe to catch the water, you put it there bekavana because you wanted that water. And if you by mistake forgot it there, it would still passel the mikveh. Divrei Beis Shammai, those are the words of Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel metarin b'shechech. Beis Hillel held that if you forgot the bucket there, so you didn't want to capture the water, that would not passel al shuvim. So that's another chiddush. You see that unless you b'kavana want to capture the water in a bucket, it's not called shuvim. That's what Rashi says. Metarin b'shechech loy chashiva she'iva hoyo v'loy lekach miskavim. So Beis Hillel holds that by mistake, since you didn't have kavanah to capture the water, that would not make it she'uvim. Now this is one of the 18 things where Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel argued about, and Beis Hillel was moide to Beis Shammai at the end, or it was Nimnu v'Gomru, the Roy Paskin like Beis Shammai. That's one. This could possibly be one of the 18 things. Amar Rab Meir, Nimnu v'Ramu Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. And this is one of the 18 things where the Roy Paskin like Beis Shammai, that Echad HaMeniach, Bechad HaShekeach, is going to be shuvim. Umoidim Beis Shammai, but even Beis Shammai would be moida that it would not be shuvim b'shekech b'chotzer shutar. If where does Beis Shammai hold that it becomes shuvim? That if I put the bucket right underneath the main pipe to capture the water, that makes it shuvim. But if I left the bucket out in the yard and it rained and the bucket filled with water and that bucket fell into the mikveh, even Beis Shammai is moida that is not shuvim. So we moided that story. Amar Rabbi Yosy, Rabbi Yosy said, this is not one of the cases where the Roy Paskin like Beis Shammai against Beis Hillel, because Adayin Machloikis b'Mekoyma imetes. Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel are still arguing, and we know that when Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel argue, we Paskin like Beis Hillel. And this is not one of the cases where the Psak Halacha is like Beis Shammai. Amar Rav Mashayshi, Dvei Rav Amri, HaKoyel Moedim, both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel are Moedim. So now the Gemara is going to drill down and clarify the exact case of where Shammai and Hillel are arguing about this bucket of shuv. HaKoyel Moedim, everybody agrees, Kisher Nicham B'Shas Kisher Oven. If I left this bucket underneath the pipe when it was very cloudy outside and we were expecting rain, so I clearly put it there with the expectation of capturing the rain that is going to come from the storm that I see coming in. There's clouds in the sky. everybody would agree that's Tamein, because that was always Bechavana. It was there, the bucket was there, and the clouds were always there. The rain might not have come instantly, but eventually the rain broke out of these clouds. That's for sure something that's called Bechavana, and even Beis Hillel is maskim that's true. B'shas Pizarov, what if I put this bucket by the pipe when it was beautiful and sunny outside, and there was not a trace of a cloud and not an option for rain in sight? And then later on, it got cloudy and it started raining and filled up the bucket with water. That divra kol tarim. That's for sure not called b'kavana. Everybody would agree that that water will not possibly mikval tshuva. Loi nechletu. In what specific case is the machlokes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel? El shanichim b'sas kisher oven. The man saw that it's going to be a big rainstorm. There's a lot of clouds. Big storm clouds are up there. So he quickly ran and he took this keli and he put it under the pipe because he wanted to catch rain. But you know what happened? It didn't rain. V'nispasru. And suddenly the clouds separated. It never rained and it became sunny. And then he forgot about it. And then the chazru v'niskashru. And then after a while it became cloudy again and then there was a rainstorm. So the question is since I originally had an intention to leave the bucket there to catch the rainwater, but now my machshava should have become bottled because there's no more clouds. Do you say my original kavana remains here, and that's why the water is shi'uvim, which is what Beis Shammai holds? And Beis Hillel holds no. Once the clouds disappear, my original machshava is gone, and this is not called b'machshava, and this is not going to be shuvim. Ma'asavar batla machshava. They still hold that once the clouds dissipate, my original machshava to catch that water doesn't count anymore. And Beis Shammai holds loy batla machshavos. And on that there was a nimnu v'gamru, and that nimnu v'gamru paskud like Beis Shammai. We also said that Rabbi Yosy holds that there was no nimnu v'gamru. Adayin machlokes b'mkoyma medes, and we would paskud like Beis Hillel. So Rabbi Yosy the Omer machlokes adayin b'mkoyma medes, well then botchluhu. So now we're missing one case of where they worked out this machlokes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel and passing like Beis Shammai. So we need another example. Amar Nachum bar Yitzchak, af b'nois kusim nidois marisason v'ibim gazru. The halacha is technically even an infant that sees dam nida is tamayat nida, but it's not normal for young children, babies, to ever become tamei machmas nida. But by Klal Yisrael, we're not choshid that a young girl is a nida, because if she was, they would separate her, so she shouldn't be matama things. But Kusim did not separate their children when they were tummy. They didn't care. Because of that, we would never know if there was a kuti girl that was tummy machmas nida or not. Because of that, we had to make a blanket gzeira that all baby Kusim from when they're infants have the halacha of anida. Because it's possible that they're anida and no one would separate them from tahiris, and it's that gzeira that was made that day that would make up for the shaila of she'uvin that Rabbi Sharsha says. Okay, I guess we can stop here. Does that make sense? Oh.
Yeah, thank you, Yossi. Just a couple things. Number one, that story you said about the reason I didn't chime in. The reason I didn't chime in, by the way, because I was over the mute thing. I pressed on it that you cannot unmute it. That's all. I pressed it so hard. But the story that you said, maybe that was his impetus to write his own Shulchan Aruch. Are we on? Everybody okay? Oh, you have to announce who the sponsors for today's shiur. Please look it up on the WhatsApp. Today's sponsor is Rav David Zolti, our chaver, and he's sponsoring the broadcast this week. Look covered, Nishmas, our dear Mr. Zolti, Rav Moshe ben Rav Chaim.
Could you find out where David is?
Yeah, I'm going to find out. I'm surprised. He's texted me a couple times, and I thought he was tuning in. He asked me if it was recorded or not, and I haven't seen him tune in.
You have to be part of it.
He told me he's still trying to catch up. He was like from his trip, and then he was quarantined. He couldn't come into the DYL for a few days. So he was just behind. He told me. He told me last week.
So it's okay. No, but you can still tune
Is it
in.
unclear just by me, or is everybody unclear?
No, it's very clear for me.
Very
clear
clear.
for me.
Very clear here.
Are you talking about the audio or the video?
I'm telling you, are you talking about the shiur?
Don't clarify yourself.
Yeah.
No, right now it's like very choppy.
Might be your phone.
I see you clear.
It's very clear on my side from the phone.
Okay. There's also and one more sponsor also today. Bensi Bench sponsored at Lilu Nishmas, his grandmother. You have it there, Yossi?
No. Where should I see
I put it on the WhatsApp.
Oh, on the WhatsApp. Let me pull it out. WhatsApp. Give me 1 second.
You have it?
I'm looking at the WhatsApp. I don't see where the.
Where did it? Okay, hold on. Evidence. Yeah, it's on Yossi's. I put it only on yours. So.
Okay, 1 second. Oh, here it is. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay. Shendel Basher Moshe Yaina Halevi.
Right. Today's the yard side. Yeah.
Shama Shavin Leo.
The Neshamas have an Aliyah.
Yeah. So
we ask all the Neshamas that have an Aliyah to be made a shiur for us down here.
Oh, man.
Get us out of this Magaifa.
right.
Amen.
Okay. Yes.
Akiva, is there a way is there a setting on my phone that I could see more than 4 participants at a time?
I don't think on your phone. What you have to do is something called a grid view, and I don't know if it's available on the phone simply because of the screen.
The screen's too small.
The screen's too small. Every person. Can you imagine if there's meetings?
You wouldn't be able to see the Gemara.
I know, but yeah, okay,
Yes.
good.
But on a computer, if you go to the computer like I do, you could see everybody if that's what you want to see.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Or you keep scrolling left. If
No,
you keep scrolling left,
I want to be able to see everybody at one time.
yeah, that's only on the computer, on the desktop.
Only on desktop. Is everybody okay for the same time tomorrow? Or you want to change it?
A little bit late, 8 o'clock.
Okay, why don't we do it at 6?
I'm okay with it's whatever the Ilam wants. You want to do it at 6?
The only thing
Why?